Yo, what's up, man? Jake is back from ETH Denver.
Yeah, I think I'm getting some feedback.
Oh, you there?
Wait. What is happening?
Shoot.
Go ahead. Try. Go ahead.
You hear me now?
No. What's going on?
All right, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Man, oh man.
I don't know what is happening.
Hold on.
Yeah, definitely hearing a little bit of feedback there as well.
Yeah, hold on a sec, guys. Let me start.
Yeah, same on my side. Really rugging.
All right, Adam, mute.
All right, Adam, mute.
Mute.
All right, Adam, mute.
Mute the Twitter account. All right. Is that better?
Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear okay now?
Much better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
it's a bit better.
Oh
Obviously something on my end messed up, man. Bro. See, you disappear for a week, Jake, and we get just
It's always you.
it's weird because we, you know, Chris and I ran them last week and the exact same setup. Something's going on with my mic system, I guess. I don't know, man. Who knows, dude? But anyway, Matt, how you doing, man? Good to see you again. We haven't talked to you guys in forever, man. What's happening?
I know it's been way too long. I'm doing great. You know, we just got off a very successful week at NFT Paris. Celebrated our 3rd anniversary of Now Media. Super exciting. Also did an event out there at the IHAM Gallery with Non-Fungible Conference. We did a really special exhibition of the Now Pass artwork. Shout out to Aaron, Nostalgic, the artist, and our CTO creative director, who's also up on stage with us, and who's also the architect behind Sovereignty, which I'm excited to dive into. We actually just announced Sovereignty's deployment on base on Monday. And so it's been full on. It's been nonstop. It's been really good. I'm coming to you live from London. We have some meetings out here, and there's just a lot on the horizon.
That's so cool. I saw it pop up on my timeline, and the moment I saw it, I was like, wait a minute, what is this? Because I mean, I've been talking about this sort of thing since like I got into blockchain in like 2016. I was like, this has to be something that is like that blockchain can solve, right? This idea of, okay, if I make a post and I'm a famous person, there's some way for me to lock in that I made this, right? So, because we just see, I mean, already with AI happening right now, the idea that you can make fake videos or fake whatever is so prevalent that there's always been this thing. I mean, obviously we've all talked about it, that blockchain is perfectly suited to solve this. So give us an idea of like how it came up for you guys. Obviously you're a media company, so it's big for you, but like, how did this first, like in within the company, within you yourself, like come up with like, actually we can maybe solve this? How did that come up?
Yeah, I'll give a little bit of the backstory, and then I'm going to toss over to Aaron and Brad to talk a little bit about the taking it into reality from a technical standpoint as well.
Yeah.
It's interesting. We've all come from media, and I think the seeds of sovereignty were kind of planted during the bull run when we recognized the opportunity for
Oop, did he just rug a little bit? Are you guys hearing Matt?
No, I lost him.
You lost him too. Matt, if you need maybe it's a Twitter space thing. Matt, if you need to leave and rejoin, I don't know if you can hear us. We can't hear you right now. Yeah, maybe Aaron, you want to take what he was riffing on there and kind of give us a little bit of the backstory?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, what's up, guys? Nice to meet you. Thank you for having us. There's actually a cyber attack, I think, on the US today. There's like all the different social networks, not even just Facebook, went down, right?
Oh, no way. Are you serious?
There's a massive cyber attack.
Yo, I've been offline for the last hour on calls and stuff. I have completely missed this. Oh my God, dude. Are you kidding? Does this coincide with Bitcoin peaking? And then it's like, okay.
It could. It's very possible. You know what I mean? Like,
well, dude, this makes this conversation even more relevant, right? It's like how
this is the future that we're heading into.
Yeah, in an age of unlimited AI, where AI can literally create anything, could recreate the spaces we're on right now with our voices, our likenesses, right? How did it come up for you guys? Like, hey, maybe we should try and solve this problem.
So I think what Matt was trying to get at is we've all been in media for over a decade. Matt was over at Billboard. Alejandro was at Verizon. And me and him actually worked at a company together called Elite Daily that we sold to Daily Mail. So we were very familiar with the media space. And even beyond the media space, I was working with this company, Consensus, made by Joe Lubin, the founder of Ethereum. And he had all these different spokes. One of these spokes was called Civil, and they tried to do a decentralized, blockchain-enabled WordPress suite of different publications back in like 2017, I want to say.
Okay.
So I've been in and around this space for quite some time, and the idea for I think the tokenizing the content and like establishing that the provenance around the content really just was like a no-brainer in terms of like what the blockchain is truly there for, right? It's there to establish the provenance of things and link a certain wallet to a certain token, right? That's kind of how the NFT space, that's the whole premise of the NFT space, is why there's only one Bored Ape of like 14, right? Like there's only one of a specific thing, so you're able to establish that provenance. And we saw in the age of AI that we kind of had this plan before ChatGPT was like took off, you know what I mean? Before it became public. But once that became public and once that took off the way that it did, it was even more like we have to really just position this mainly around the provenance, right? Because there's been some people that have done the collectible articles before, the mirrors, the paragraphs and such, right? But they were never really positioned around provenance and going as a B2B product to other digital publishers to onboard them in the space, right? At best, they're kind of like doing a Substack kind of model, right? So this is kind of how that kind of idea started to take shape over time.
It's super interesting. As I, dove into it a little bit more, kind of yesterday and dug in, I actually found some interesting stuff that I think a lot of people in the space like don't even understand, that like blockchains were invented before Bitcoin, right? There were blockchains, and the first use of a blockchain was basically verifying digital items, right? Digital, patents or, digital files, basically, right? This company, these guys basically made called, I think it was Surety, was basically made to like verify, digital items, whether it's a piece of media or content or whatever. So this is an idea that's been on the, out there in the sphere since like the 90s, right? And but that the system those guys developed still didn't have anything like a blockchain to it. They would literally post hashes in newspapers to verify the documentation, right? So it was missing this like layer of what blockchains now offer. So tell us a little bit about how you guys decided to do it, like on Base as kind of like the underlying blockchain to it. And yeah, give us that little backstory.
Well,
Maybe
basically,
maybe Matt, are you back in? You there?
Yeah, it's not back.
I think I'm back. Can you hear me?
Back. He thinks he's back. Matt's under attack. Matt, did you know the whole U.S. is under cyber attack right now, man?
You know, it's like a common thing. Twitter space like loves to rug you like right when you like jump into the good stuff, right? I'm like, let me start by setting the stage, and then, but Aaron, you rock this, and then I'll follow up just like as I get everything sorted. So.
All right, sorry. What was the question again?
So yeah, how did you guys decide on
Base? Why Base? Yeah, why did we decide on Base? So originally we were just on. We knew that we were going to have to do an L2, but we basically did the proof of concept on mainnet on ETH, and it was just like $60 to mint an article, But we were just do one each day, you know what I mean? Like or like when we have a really important one. So we have 69 of these mainnet tokens that are just there. Boom, right? That includes like a bunch of amazing features that Matt did, of like our CryptoPunks collaboration when we did the video series. Like there's a lot of cool stuff that we might, and like gamify at a certain point down the road. That's kind of the fun thing with all of this. But then we knew we needed an L2, right? So we discussed and spoke to and researched and implemented a lot of different chains, right? But Base being being backed by Coinbase, American company, we're an American company. We feel like they're not going to rug anyone, right? And we feel like for these digital publishers, those types of things are really important, right? Rather than doing it on Blast or doing it on Polygon, like you want to make this as easy as possible to onboard, the likes of the Wall Street journals, and those types of people. So Base really made the most sense from that perspective.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you hear
yeah,
me?
go ahead. Yeah, Matt. Go ahead.
Amazing. Awesome. So, and just, like everything Aaron said, one thing I'll add is, like I think it's really important to, and apologies if this was already said, prior when I was being rugged, but like, one of the key things about sovereignty is really being able to help media publishers authenticate their content and help readers like verify it as authentic really easily. And so this means working with a lot of these legacy media publications, that some of whom, are not super Web3 native, most of which are not, are still kind of wrapping their heads around the crypto space. Even if there is someone who is more Web3 or innovation focused at the company, they're still going to need to win over the internally the teams. And so, Base made a lot of sense because, like Aaron said, Coinbase is the only publicly traded crypto company. It's in full regulatory compliance, and I think that those elements, being stateside based, that's a lot of the publications that we're initially targeting with our B2B beta clients. These are all really, critical elements to ensuring that that these publishers feel comfortable implementing this technology into their workrooms, being a part of this. That said, as well, Base is also really experiencing an amazing moment, I think, of adoption and excitement and energy around the around its community. What we're seeing on Farcaster, what we're seeing with its integration with Optimism, just very much aligns with our ethos as a company. And we're really excited to be building on Base and to be kind of leading that.
Yeah, you're rugging again, Matt. I think you're
being swallowed into the blockchain. Bro.
I think Matt's where is he in London? His London connection. They need to upgrade the connection over there a little bit, man. No, but we get what you're saying about Base, and I do think it is an amazing. You're fortunate to have hit kind of bases hitting at the right time, and got a lot of traction there. I guess it brings up a point though. Actually, maybe Brad wants to come in. Welcome to the stage, by the way, Brad. Appreciate you coming up, man. About I guess first of all, are you guys mainly looking to expand this by going, B2B? So basically going after existing media companies and trying to create relationships that way. Is that the idea right now?
Yeah, man. Yeah. And, GM, thanks for having us, dude. Again, why Base has the most institutional trust, because of, things that I've said with them being publicly traded and widely adopted by some mainstream major corporations, and at the end of the day, the blockchain does one thing really better than anything else, and it's authenticity and ownership, and so being that, again, that their Base is kind of regarded as being one of the more trusted networks for L2s out there. We figured that was ideal to launch this platform on, and kind of already go into it with that idea of trust in mind to more institutionalized kind of media.
So tell me how it would work if you go to, you're going to the New York Times, right? The New York Times has, God knows, 300 writers, how is the New York Times supposed to look at this Like, is it they have their base company, but then these writers become like underneath them in some way from an accountability standpoint, or everything pushes through the New York Times, like authenticator or wallet, or how would it look like if you were explaining it to a company you're approaching and saying, hey, we want to authenticate, the stuff that comes from you guys. This is how you should look at it as an organization. How are you explaining it to them?
Yeah, so essentially how it's set up on chain, on a high level is it's a series of it's a factory contract that then allows publishers to then assign authors that are allowed to publish through this platform. Each author would be assigned a role in that smart contract that is mapped to their wallet address. As we continue to roll this out, we'll be kind of introducing more of a KYC environment for wallet addresses that are known publishers and authors at these organizations. Right out of the gate, kind of the smart contract would allow an admin, and then that admin can assign authors. And so at any point when these authors do decide to publish their work and they want to have that badge of authenticity on it, that sovereignty badge, they would be allowed to through their publisher.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'll jump in on the back of that.
Yeah.
That's how it works on chain, right? Really, every publisher is set up differently, right? That's the reality, right? What we've built in is that you don't have to write your article in sovereignty, right? You can import your article, and what we're working on now is just back end automation, so there's actually no change to the normal editorial process, right? Because when you try to introduce a new CMS, that's the last thing that average employer wants to hear. You know what I mean?
They are not interested. I can pretty much guarantee you that, right? They're just not interested.
And then they generally hate crypto to begin with, right? Like these people, if you're not in crypto, you're kind of skeptical, right? Like if you haven't aped in already, right? So we wanted to make it as easy to use as possible, right? So there's optionality. If you want to write it in the CMS, if you want to write it in the editor in sovereignty, you can. There's even AI features where you can kind of augment your writing. If you choose to do that, there'll be like an AI badge on your content. You can import it we import it from our WordPress, right? So Matt imports it, he hits one button, boom, boom, boom. It publishes it to IPFS. It publishes the JSON metadata. It mints the article, and then it gives you, Brad kind of referenced that this sovereignty badge, right? So this is kind of like our icon, our Twitter verification badge, right? That you put onto your article, right? And you can grab the OpenSea link, and you can grab the IPFS link and the Etherscan transaction or the base scan transaction.
So basically it functions within, is it like a widget that works within WordPress basically?
It's its own standalone application.
Gotcha.
It just references whatever backend, right? So right now we have our WordPress backend plugged into it, but we would swap it out for whatever publisher's system. Not all of them are on WordPress realistically, right? So
it creates it's a badge based system, but then for the content itself, the actual, okay, I produce an article. Does it then take a hash of that article?
Each piece of content gets minted itself. So it's an 1155 contract. So Think about how 1155s have token ID is one thing, token ID is two is something else, token ID is three is something else. So if it was a game, it's your bow is token ID 1, different potions are token ID 2, right? In this case, each article is its own token, and mapped to each token is this set of metadata, which is fully on chain, part of which is a reference in an IPFS hash, JSON hash. And in that is the different attributes that you might want in the article, right? It has all the basic stuff like your SEO stuff, your title, your description, the author, the category, all that. The whole IPFS article is on chain. Is not on chain. The whole article is on IPFS, and then in the OpenSea, you can even scroll in the little iframe, right, in that little image area, and read the whole article there.
Gotcha.
Also, you can set the different token amount, right? So by default it's just set to 1 token. You're essentially minting it for provenance, but you can set it to be 100 supply, 0.01 ETH, whatever. You can do allow list mint. You can do allow list. You can do airdrops and all sorts of stuff like that. So like the core of the Web3 stuff is baked in there. We're just kind of leading it, especially to digital publishers on the provenance angle.
Okay. So when it comes to like video content or audio content, are you not looking at that? Like, for example, IPFS might be prohibitively expensive if it was kind of video content. Are you looking primarily?
It's Arweave and that's as far as you get from like the decentralized options, right?
Yep.
It's either IPFS or Arweave, right? Arweave is kind of more scalable for that video kind of thing. There's just an interesting thing that starts to come up when you kind of do that on Arweave. It's like really permanent, right? So like, what if you get a takedown notice?
Yeah.
Right? Kind of the nuance. Right?
Well, actually, that's what I was thinking was like, okay, for large, okay, I make a documentary, right? And it's an hour-long video. I don't want to necessarily put that on IPFS or Airweave, right? But taking a hash of that file that verifies that it's mine.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So it's just the same thing as any other NFT, right? You know, if you posted a video NFT on Zora, we felt like that market is like there's options there for that market, but not like the packaging of like article based content, if that makes any sense. So like you'll be able to mint like your video or mint your image or whatever, you know, but you know, there's plenty of platforms out there that allow you to do that, right? In terms of like Foundation and Zora and stuff like that. This is like you can write a full article. The purpose is verification and provenance primarily, but you can gamify it if you want to. So for us, for example, we built all that into the contract, and we'll be launching like our first collectible article soon because we built out a whole platform for our Now Pass holders called the Now Network. And inside this Now Network, we have a whole media aggregation that aggregates everyone from CoinDesk to Decrypt, brings in like the podcasts, you know, the Rug podcast, brings in all the videos around crypto from the different price influencers out there. So it brings in all this data as well as our NFT Now articles, and you gain XP by reading and consuming this content, right? And with that XP, you're going to unlock certain NFTs, certain rewards, IRL discounts, things of that nature. So we've built out this whole ecosystem where we're minting now for provenance, but we're now getting to the other layer of this where we're allowing the content to be collectible and gamifying it in some way.
Well, that's interesting. Matt, you back, man? Are you back?
Let's try.
Well, I have a
right, let me know if I disappear again. Let me know.
Right. Go ahead, Jake Scott.
Swallow me up at the most inopportune times.
No, I have a question, and I'm back. Sorry, guys. I was handling our Discord for like 20 minutes here. I'm usually much more responsive, but I was making sure the ship does not blow up here. It's awesome to see how far you guys have progressed, especially with the gamification. You know, I'm curious, like how deep were those discussions? I mean, if you look at some of the past crypto publications who've attempted to gamify or tokenize media, it kind of just falls on deaf ears. It just becomes basically a collectible. I'm not going to name names, but for the most part, it just generally gets glossed over here. But as NFT Now and NFT Now Pass holder, it seems like you guys have really put some thought into it. What were those types of conversations, and why is this time different?
I'm gonna try and answer this, but let me know if something happens. So, you know, I think it really comes from the fact that like since day one, when we started this thing, we always set out to build a better media model. Like since day one on NFTnow.com, there's never been any programmatic ads, no pixels, no cookies. We don't track our users. We recognized we wanted to do it differently. And one of the things we really recognized was that in current state of Web 2 media, people are loyal to the headline and not the brand, right? It's because everyone's trying to do the same clickbait race to the bottom, trying to game the same algorithms, really trying like tailoring their content to succeed on these algorithms and maximize impressions versus like actually serving their communities. And so that's when we were like, we had really like deep, far-reaching discussions on what a community-centric media model looks like. And that's what really kind of birthed the Now Network, which is the brainchild of Aaron and Brett up here on stage, to go further than like what you just said, providing some collectibles, blah blah blah, but to actually serve the community, to actually reward the community for participating. And for contributing. That's another big thing. That's a big part of this, is that we actually want to empower our community to co-create the stories that we're telling. And so that's why, since launching the Now Network, we've seen just like an incredible response. I think one of my favorite stat is the fact that on average, users are spending more than 6 minutes on page, which is unheard of in the media industry. The average is usually like 50 seconds. So that's more than 10x. Love to, I'll toss it over to Aaron and Brett to weigh in on from the technical side. But to me, this has been the product of conversations that have started since our very beginnings.
Yeah, I think that what sets it apart is like when other publications have to do it, like they do it, like they're really, I just want to like, I'm not going to call anyone in particular, but it's kind of corny, right? Like those publications are not really of the culture that the same way that we are. We throw these massive art gallery type of events in Miami and Korea, and we've been profiling the artists since day one in this space. So we're in the space, we're of the space, you know what I mean? I'm an artist myself, so we just try to bring that through to all the products that we build, right? That kind of that tangibility. Whereas like, if some of these other kind of crypto-based publications do it, it's like, all right, you're going to get an airdrop into this random shit coin that's probably going to rug you.
Is there...
Go ahead.
Good.
Oh, I was going to say, like, I understand the idea of like a badge system, but from a user's perspective, so I'm on X, right? And I'm looking through and I see an article that kind of has the sovereignty badge or whatever. But what's a way like the end users can easily verify that this, is coming from X person? How can the end user verify this?
Yeah, so once they click into the link, the first thing is once they click into the link, they can see on the page that it resolves to, whether it be our site or if another publisher adopts this, right, it'll be on their site. There's a badge, and then there's 3 icons. That one is for Etherscan, one is for IPFS, and one is for OpenSea. So they can click that Etherscan and see where that token was minted and the wallet address and stuff and such, right? Brett mentioned the DID token that will map back to as well. The second thing, which is kind of alpha for the 15 people in this space or so, is I found out a way to embed HTML onto Twitter. And we're going to be rolling that out this week too. So when we post our sovereignty articles, you're actually going to be able to scroll in the website in Twitter. You're actually going to be able to mint through that in Twitter. Yeah, it only works on on Twitter desktop or Twitter like web mobile. Doesn't work in the app, but I think it's still cool nonetheless.
Yeah, that sounds like a feature you'd see on Farcaster, but to do it on Twitter with such a much larger audience, I think that's what everyone wants, right? Because that's where the larger community is.
Yeah, and honestly, on Farcaster, it's like 4 buttons and it changes the image. Like I'm talking about, like we have our Now Pass embedded on this test one that I've done, right? So full, if you have an Art Blocks project, right, you have your full 3D canvas or your P5JS canvas in there, like naturally, right? If you have a metaverse, throw it in there. It's really crazy. Like I think Elon might block this at a certain point if it gets too hot. But yeah, no, it's a really big breakthrough this week as well.
I would actually disagree. I think something that keeps you on Twitter is something they would keep. Like that's the problem with links, and you know it as well as I do. Like people don't want to even use links anymore because they think it's going to kill their reach because Twitter doesn't want you leaving Twitter, right? I think anything that embeds it would be really cool.
What's your guys' experience? Sorry, Aaron, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that I was building a Farcaster frame, and somehow it led me to building this embed onto Twitter. It's really crazy. No, but go ahead.
Let's say, what's your guys' experience with token gating media? What is there? Has there been a lot of success? Are you moving away from the model? I mean, when you look at traditional media, the equivalent of that in, I guess, traditional, traditional journalism is just adding subscriptions. And what we've seen is that that generally just becomes this type of like isolated reporting that becomes like an echo chamber. Have you seen that similar type of phenomena happen with token gating Web3 media, or on the other end, is it highly beneficial and has some positives that you're going to continually pursue?
Yeah, I think that there's two kind of aspects to it, right? It's less about token gating the media itself, and it's more so about using the tokens on the tech side of things to, again, more so map information and add that layer of accountability. On the publisher's side, there it's kind of like when they are publishing through sovereignty, it creates this instance, this moment on the blockchain that we all know is immutable. It can't go away with time and a date stamp. And so if they decided to, again, change a perspective, change their mind, change their narrative, anything that they're publishing, that counteracts that, there are those kind of receipts on chain. And from the user side, it kind of ties back into this now network, this full circle here. And we thought that it's really important to, it less so kind of make people take extra steps to be rewarded. The barrier to entry already in Web3 is high enough. And so by being able to actually reward people for the actions and the content that they're already consuming, and they already would be consuming regardless of the platform, by incentivizing that through rewards and points and various possibly airdrops and things like that, it becomes less about token gating and more so about token mapping.
Mapping. Yeah, I haven't heard that term before.
Wow, token map. Go into that a little bit. I don't know if I've really heard that before. So that's like social mapping, but through tokens. Is that the idea?
Essentially, I mean, like you can see with NFTs that there's those transaction histories on chain. As it would change wallets, as it would be created, be burned, be destroyed, be locked, be staked. All of those things are all shown on the blockchain. And so by being able to actually tokenize media, tokenize this, any given piece of content, like Aaron mentioned earlier, the one aspect is just a single token. It is what it is. It's there for provenance, right? But by creating multiple instances of it, you can now start to see, these various wallets, these tokens, how the spread, the unique holders is, what we're used to seeing with NFTs. Are people possibly sending them to each other, as a way of, hey, look at this article, this op-ed that's phenomenal, and I trust it. It's truthful. It's on chain. It's from this publisher through the sovereignty. It has that badge. It has all of this metadata attached to it. And I'd like to see in the future, people just make this kind of subconscious connection in their mind of on chain equaling truth. So that you don't have to know about what a blockchain is. You don't have to know what wallet is. You don't have to understand any of it. That if someone says, hey, read this article, the first thing you think of, well, is it on chain? Because if it is, I can trust it.
It's interesting. I think you guys have the right idea that it has to be basically zero friction. I think we've seen that enough where just any sort of gating just doesn't tend to work. I think, if people get reward, most people probably don't care. But if it's invisible behind the scenes, I think that could work. The issue becomes, though, like with anything, it's like how do you onboard people to it, right? It feels like you're actually at a good moment here where we all realize we're going to be completely overrun by AIs in the next year or two. We're at that point right now, and we haven't felt it yet. So I think there's a little bit of hesitancy to adopt anything because we haven't been overrun yet. We all know it could happen kind of at any time. But how do you look at approaching these media companies now to get them prepared for, a pain that they don't necessarily feel right now? Like, how do you approach them?
Well, I think that they're definitely feeling pain, right? They just don't know. They're feeling pain, and the people that are managing them know that the AI stuff is coming, right? So you can see that it's not like they have felt it, right? So CNET, for example, was just like downgraded on Wikipedia to like an F because they've been found out they're using AI for all their content, right?
Yeah.
Gizmodo, like the same, like that whole network of the Gizmodo sites, the same, right? So like maybe a month or two ago, you started hearing people getting them doing the layoffs, a bunch of writers at Time, a bunch of writers, really all over at almost every type of company, and those like local news and those like niche blogs and those things, they felt it the most, and then but even like the parent companies are getting squeezed on, and they want to be able to fight audience attrition. They want to be able to do something in the fact that cookies are becoming deprecated everywhere. And they know that the AI is coming for their lunch, right? They might be able to harness it and use it, but it's like a wild force going to run through the middle of their office, right? So I think that they're definitely feeling it. The whole thing is positioning them as like blockchain is the answer, right? Like that's the real the way to kind of position it, right? Because
Yeah, I almost think like,
yeah,
go ahead. Sorry to cut you off.
no, so you get what I'm saying. Blockchain is immutable. Blockchain
Oh, I get
is
it.
permanent, right? You know.
Yep. I almost feel like I don't know if most media companies are going to get it, honestly, before it's too late. It feels like a lot of media companies are they've already lost the plot and it's already over. As Matt was saying, it's just this race to the clickbait bottom and none of them are even going to survive. I almost feel like it's better suited a product for, individual bloggers and celebrities, right? It's important that whoever, go ahead, Matt. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I hear you on that. And one of the things that we recognize is that to us, on chain is just the next chapter for storytelling. It's the next chapter for media, right? We've always seen tech disrupt how stories are being told, how journalism is done, how content is distributed, dating back to the Gutenberg Bible, right? Physical printing press. Then, moving towards web, then the jump from web to mobile, then the jump from mobile to social. On-chain is next. And one of the things that we've seen is that media companies traditionally have never figured this out for themselves. It's always taken tech disruption to push that forward. And you know what? Adam, there are a lot of media companies that no longer exist because they lost the plot, because they didn't adapt to digital, because they didn't, embrace mobile. I started my career at Billboard, and Billboard could have easily gone the way of other print magazines that did not really survive, except that they were early to embrace digital, and that they brought their charts over to digital. And so like that, being early to adopt that actually provided that business with sustainability and legs. And they did that at a time when digital was seen as this frontier that a lot of people didn't trust and understand. So to me, it's like I hear you on that, but I do think that I don't think it's a lost cause in any way. Some individual media companies may be lost causes, but ultimately media is still incredibly important. It's arguably never been more important, and storytelling will always be important. And so we do believe that there are media companies that will embrace this, and that there are media companies who will rise to this occasion, that they will recognize, hey, we may not fully understand this right now, but we recognize that this is the future and we need to be a part of that. And one of the things that's been really heartening is the conversations we've been having with leading publishers. We're under NDA with a lot of them, so I can't actually speak to specific titles, but some household names, and the level of interest is really heartening to see. Sometimes the interest even outweighs the understanding, but that's okay, because they recognize that this is something that is going to be the future, and that they haven't figured out for themselves. And so that's one of the reasons why Aaron, Brad, our tech team have done such a great job of making this super seamless and easy, because the only way this product succeeds is if it can seamlessly integrate into existing newsrooms, into existing workflows. If it can just be done, very simply, like we've always said, our mantra since starting out to build it has been 3 clicks or less. That's really critical. Like coming from the media side, like I recognize how disruptive it can be to a newsroom to change CMSs. We actually changed from Drupal to WordPress when I was at Billboard, and WordPress is a far superior CMS to Drupal, but it still was like uprooting a tree. You know what I mean? With CMSs. And here's the thing. No publisher is going to do that at this juncture just for the Web3 capabilities, just to be able to authenticate content. We're going to sovereignty needed and needs to be able to seamlessly integrate, and that's why it can, and that's why it's a much easier sell when you can say, hey, look, this is going to be, you know, one quick additional step. You know, we even have the capability to have it, you know, be, you know, automized, you know, in the background there. It's not going to disrupt existing workflows. It's not going to create headaches across the board. It's a value add, right? And so, you know, like you said, Adam, there's some media publishers may not get the plot, and they may not survive, but I think enough of them will, because I think, you know, it's something we've always seen. Like with each wave, think about each of those waves, from print to digital to mobile to social. We saw new media companies arise that embrace those formats. Like think about BuzzFeed. You know, like obviously the BuzzFeed model doesn't necessarily work anymore, but it really worked at a specific moment in time. You know, Aaron was at Elite Daily with Ale, and you know, that model during the Facebook era crushed, right? Does it work now? No, things have to adapt. But you know, so but we've seen existing media companies adapt, and B, you know, medium native new media companies launch and thrive. And so I think we're going to see both in this on-chain era, and we're really positioning to be able to help you know, help bring in those you know, established legacy media companies, because we need that. We still need that as part of the space. Like, you know, it's easy to rail against the quote unquote mainstream media, right? It's easy to like target that, but we also do need credible reporting. We also do need, you know, trusted journalistic sources and the like in the space, and we're going to be able to cater to both. And so, like, you know, that's why, you know, like I hear what you're saying when you say, you know, that they maybe lost because they've lost the plot. I don't think that's the case, because I think that enough of them are going to embrace it, and those will be the ones that succeed.
It's awesome. I actually really applaud you guys for like pursuing this. It's something that, like, when I saw it, I was like, holy cow, man. Because it's just something I've been really like excited about for a while, and I had no idea you guys were actually diving in there. It's really it's pretty impressive to see that you guys decided to pursue it. Go ahead, Dogfather.
Yeah, 100% agree. I as an NFT NOW pass holder, I love to hear that. And I mean, you guys really rock. I guess it's a bit ahead of the curve, but I mean, it's better to be earlier than to be too late. It may be more like a mid to long-term pitch, but I guess you're 100% aware of that. So I'm a big fan of on-chain provenance. So I'm like a orange-pilled ordinal degen. So I put my markdown files with some articles on Bitcoin, but obviously this is not possible for mainstream media. So I guess that's 100% the right approach. US company base, it's like, yeah, really looking forward to that. Trying to consume your media on your platform, earning some XP, and yeah, huge props. I mean, this is definitely a big brain concept, and this is coming back to the early blockchain implementations where you had something like on Namecoin just to have, you know, a decentralized, permissionless DNS, you know, server, or to have some digital identities. Really not just like pixelated art and stuff like that, but really like utility and pure Web3 ethos. And you're definitely building something extremely important.
So Matt, what would you say what is the mainstream or legacy media missing as to why they're not adopting, you know, blockchain in terms of a form of verification? Do you think it's because they don't want to verify things because they've turned more into this, you know, editorial entertainment type media, or is there something else that maybe throughout your time building NFT NOW and tokenizing media that they just don't completely understand what's actually here?
Great question, Jake. Here's the thing. Like, I mean, Aaron highlighted this really well before, but like media is hurting right now. like media is a bloodbath right now. Like look at Vice, like just stop publishing. Like look at Sports Illustrated, like shell of itself. Look at Pitchfork, just rolled into GQ as a vertical. Like, you know, layoffs across the board. Like media's hurting right now. And so I think everyone like in the like media executives right now are like trying to stop the bleeding, or like trying to like save the patient. Like they're in like crisis mode, and they're in like emergency mode. And so like to them, you know, they're focused on like how do we get more revenue, how do we cut costs, all these things. And they're like it's not a very easy climate to innovate. And as I said before, you know, traditionally the media like companies have not been the ones to develop the tech that has pushed things forward in response to technological advancements, right? Like it's usually been outside forces forcing them to make moves. And so right now, I think between the rise of generative AI, cannibalizing content, between like the deprecation of cookies, between you know, the social media algorithms absolutely like ravaging social traffic and referrals, like a lot of media companies are coming to terms with the fact that the programmatic ad model is broken, but they're dealing with the immediate realities of that, which are, you know, declining revenues and declining traffic, and you know, the need to cut costs and the like. And so again, I don't think it's necessarily like that they just are ignoring it. I think they're just focused on other things, and they're focused on these immediate like pressing issues and dealing with them in the ways that they've traditionally known. And I think that, you know, right now for many media publications, they need to be educated and helped understand how this technology can actually help them, you know, move how it can actually help these underlying like systemic issues with the industry. Because like, you know, imagine you're a media executive overseeing a publication, you know, that's going through it, and you're like, hey, you can authenticate your content. You're like, cool, that makes sense, that's cool, but how does that help me with my current situation? Then you start to get into, hey, look, you can actually build direct connections with your audience, direct monetization through like digital collectibles, through collectible content, through like being able to, you know, incentivize, you know, your community to participate in what you're doing, you know, being able to create new revenue streams, being able to build this retention model. All of a sudden, this starts to be like, oh, wait a minute, this technology can actually cure or help, you know, the larger ills we're facing, which is why, you know, while authenticating, verifying content is an incredibly important part of sovereignty, it's not the only part, right? Like we have sort of this white glove element where we can also, you know, implement a lot of what we've implemented and kind of dog food on ourselves with the Now Network to media companies that want to do it. And so I think that's why like it's very important to highlight the holistic elements of the entire product, you know, in that, you know, they're like, again, it's like I empathize with those media companies. I empathize because like, you know, right now, a lot of them are swimming for their lives. You know, they're like swimming to try and stay afloat, and that's, you know, that's a tough situation to be in when you're being asked to like embrace a new technology, especially a new technology that, remember, guys, like we live in a bit of a bubble, like totally. You know, like we live in a bubble.
Totally,
like, did you see that? You saw that stat that like, you know, like we were like for months we were like, yo, Bitcoin ETFs 100% getting taxed. This is like you know, like and then like what was like on the eve of it, it was like only like 30 or 40% of like, you know, like traditional like fund managers or whatever like actually thought it was going to be passed. Like, you know, like we live in a bubble, and so for us, this technology is like it's so obvious, right? Like it's so like I'm like, yo, this is literally what the blockchain is built for. Like, you know, it's authentication and truth and immutability. For them, for a lot of them, you know, they also recognize like what they've heard about it is more of the scary headlines and the more like, you know, the stuff that, you know, Elizabeth Warren is spewing in Washington and stuff like that. And so like, you know, you have to recognize all of that, and you have to understand that, and that's why you know, it's been an evolving conversation. We've noticed what has resonated, we've noticed what hasn't, and we've been able to kind of like tailor our storytelling and our communications around it to really hit the right notes. Because I know it was a long-winded answer, but to me, it's not like an intentional like ignorance. I think it's just they're trying to stay afloat. They're trying to look for solutions in places that they already feel like they have footing or ground or experience. This is a new a new paradigm that for a lot of them, they probably feel like they don't have the time or attention to like really research it proper. And, you know, they have lingering like fears and uncertainties from the way that crypto and blockchain technology has been portrayed in the media. It's like a self-sustaining issue, right? Like,
Totally.
because you know, you get these inflammatory headlines to get clicks to fuel the programmatic ad model, and that impacts people's perceptions. But at the end of the day, what we're seeing and what we're hearing is actually quite heartening, because we have a lot of major media publications who are listening and who are interested. And it's amazing when you see that light bulb moment. Like, you know, like, again, I can't name the publisher, but like, you know, household name, we were talking to the CEO, and like the minute that we talked about how this could help prevent phishing attacks, the minute that we talked about how this could help like safeguard users, it clicked for him, because he was like, wait, I was a victim of a phishing attack. Like, this happened to me. This happened to me. And he's like, this makes so much sense. And like, once you can kind of ground it in experience, once you can kind of do there, yeah, okay, we have to figure, you know, like that doesn't mean that it's all, you know, it like add the badge and call it a day. There's still other steps to go through. We have to make sure everything's in compliance with the legal team. We have to make sure everything's works on the marketing front. We have to make sure the newsroom's on board, all that. But once you get over that hump of understanding that this technology can really help, it becomes a much easier conversation to have.
Well, I think as we wrap up here, I guess one of my kind of final things is like, I mean, approaching publishers or individuals who are publishing content and wanting them to be able to show their readers or their listeners or whatever that, hey, this is mine, right? Has value, but it has to kind of integrate in with the social media platforms themselves. I mean, I think convincing them is almost as important as convincing the publishers, right? Because if X and Facebook and Instagram and all these platforms aren't on board as well, you know, it's kind of almost missing the boat, because so much runs through these platforms. How do you look at, you know, approaching the platforms themselves, the social media platforms themselves? I mean, do you feel like it's going to run from the content generators themselves, and then the social media platforms are just going to onboard by nature? Or how do you look at that, you know, being somebody who's already knee deep in it? Like, how do you feel that way?
So on one side, right, you mentioned Instagram, right? So Instagram, Facebook, that's owned by the same company. And what Facebook has just done, they said ahead of this election, we're killing the news tab. They're abandoning their role in like the information race. You know what I mean? The last election or the past two election cycles, they were really targeted by the government, the Cambridge Analytica. So Zuck is like, yo, I'm not even playing this game anymore. So it's really tough. I'm like, on that side. On X, you have Elon, and I have the Twitter embed, right? That's where we're at now. But hopefully once he sees something like this, he's like, all right, that it sparks the idea in his head to actually adopt such a feature.
I have one final question. This is just a general NFT Now kind of, and I guess crypto media question is, now that we're entering a bull market, or, you know, kind of in the early beginnings of the bull market, what is NFT Now's content strategy compared to from a bull market, from the bear market? I'm just interested to see. I'm just curious of what the content style is.
Yeah, it's a really great question, Jake. You know, one of the things that we saw a lot of traction with during the bull when we started was like guides and explainers and how-tos, and like, you know, like how to set up MetaMask, how to set up Phantom Wallet, like things like, you know, things that are, you know, to us as purists, you know, like we always think about our audience as being on a spectrum. Our community is being on a spectrum. It's from tourists to purists in the space. You know, everyone here is pretty much a purist in the space. Like we live, eat, breathe, sleep it. We, you know, we're degenning. We're up to ungodly hours looking at the chain and like doing stuff. You know, like we're builders in the space. And during the bear, we kind of had to shift more towards purist content. We had to tap into those communities that were really driving it, because those are the people who are showing up day in, day out. You know what I mean? Like look at the growth curve of any crypto media company. You'll see like explosive growth in the bull, and then like, you know, plateau or down, you know, like it falls, you know, during the bear. because there's just fewer people there. There's fewer people looking, you know, like the Google search volume for NFT lost 99% of its volume, you know, like that's just the reality of it. But who are the people who are still showing up? Those are the purists. Those are the communities. Those are the people who are like real believers. So, you know, like content strategy wise, have to shift things more towards them during the bear. Now that the bull's coming back, you know, we gotta make sure we're serving the tourists too. So, you know, like we already even started with like the rise of the Solana meme coins and stuff, like doing some guides around that, doing guides around the Phantom wallets, updating the MetaMask guide, like things like that, you know, are really important because as people start searching, that you want your stuff to be the ones that pops up, and you want to have that SEO placement. You want to be, you know, positioned as a credible, updated, authoritative source. So that's like that's part of it as well. And then I think one thing that's really interesting is, you know, this is the first bull market where we've had like our own proprietary tech. You know, like during the last bull market, we were just covering the space. This time we're living the space. We're powered by the space. You know, everything Aaron and Brett have built with Now Network and Sovereignty. Like that, this is the first stress test for those, right? And it's the first opportunity to learn like how does this resonate? So it's like also deciding, you know, what are the things that should go in the Now Network that will drive more people there, that will make people stay, that will offer it a value proposition that's really compelling, you know, outside of just like what you can get on our site or on Twitter at large and the like. And that's been a really fun but also challenging and exciting thing to tackle. So that's, you know, there's it definitely like shifts the dynamic in terms of like bringing in like retail into the space. They're not quite here yet, but like they're coming. Like, you know, like Bitcoin hit an all-time high today. That's going to get media coverage. That's going to lead to more people in crypto. More people in crypto leads to a wealth effect. Wealth effect leads to NFT liquidity. Liquidity leads to, you know, we all know where that leads.
We all know the cycle. Yeah, man. Absolutely.
We all know the cycle, right?
You give a mouse a cookie,
look,
you must feed him milk.
You got to start retreading the how to use a MetaMask, you know, how-tos again, man. Bring those back, baby.
That's it, man. That's it. Look, like, and we're already like you're seeing savvy investors and collectors already front running that. I mean, look at yesterday. You had $16 million CryptoPunk sale, the second highest like on-chain sale for a punk. You had, you know, in the span of minutes, you had a collector collect 2 Fidenzas for $3 million total. Like you have big Node Monkey sales, right? Like there's like, it's crazy, you know, like that. It doesn't surprise me. That's not retail. That's all purists, you know, getting in there. But they recognize like what's coming. They recognize the wave that's coming, and people are making their bets and their positions accordingly. And that's something that we as a media company have to do too.
Wow, very great answer. I was making a joke the other day that I haven't seen a thread posted on Twitter in the last 5 days.
Dude, I thought that was a great tweet, man. It's totally true. There hasn't been a thread in a week on Twitter.
Yo, threads take a lot of time. You know what I mean?
Ain't got no time for that when price is running, man. All I can do is post memes.
You know what I mean? Like, and by the way, just for everybody, like if you use GPT to write your thread, everybody can tell.
Yeah.
Everybody can tell. You know what I mean? Like, not saying you can't be helpful. Not saying you can't be helpful, but if you just like copy paste that shit, like
Oh, that is the best. Well, I appreciate you guys for coming on. Are you guys going to be doing an NFT NYC event? I know most of the Emblem team will be there, so I'd be excited to show up because the gala you threw last year was incredible. It was one of my favorite events.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We're exploring some options and opportunities around NFT NYC. A lot of N's right there. Right now, it doesn't look like we're gonna do the gala again. I think we want to change things up a bit. But we have some pretty cool ideas going, and so stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Awesome. Well, I'll see you guys in New York. Adam, what are your thoughts on tokenized media?
I think it's tough. Media in general is tough. But I totally applaud you guys for taking on something that there will be a winner in that space, and the winner will probably consume the entire space, right? And I think, Matt, you're obviously smart enough to recognize that, right? It's like the one that wins the kind of what blockchain we use to verify media is going to be the one. There will probably be one winner, and I hope it's you guys. It's amazing. I applaud you for doing it and taking a stab at it. And I guess we'll see, man. It's going to be fun to watch, and appreciate you guys as always for coming on and walking us through what you're going through and what you're building, and psyched about it, man.
Yeah, we appreciate the support. And one thing I'll add to that is like, I think one of the things that you know, this is a mission-minded company, this is a mission-minded project. Like, to me, it's like, I don't think, like, I agree with you. Like, you know, we're gunning to be the one. We want that sovereignty verified badge to be ubiquitous. We want that to be the trusted industry standard. But I think everyone wins when we have authenticated media. It's not like just one winner. It's like everyone wins, because at the end of the day, it promotes trust, it promotes transparency, it promotes you know, credibility and authenticity for media. And I think everybody benefits. And I think that this can, you know, like one of the reasons why we designed sovereignty as like white label and plug and play and seamless to integrate as it is that we want to get everybody using it. You know what I mean? And using it to their own needs and unique circumstances. And so yeah, I just wanted to add that closing point. But we love you guys. Like, shout out to the OG NFT history crew. You guys are rocking it. You know, love to see the Emblem Vault, what you guys are doing. You know, and yeah, look, like, you know, like one of the things, it's just really great to see like, you know, people like you who have been sticking through. You guys stuck through the bear market, showed up every day. You know, like, so did we. Like, we've been like really like just soldiering through, championing the things that we believe in, championing the projects that we believe in, building the future we want to see. And at the end of the day, like that's I'm just really grateful for that. Really grateful for that. And so, you know, thank you for the space to have the conversation.
Yeah, likewise, man. You know, building innovative projects and being on the, you know, the frontier of you know, NFT and crypto technology is not easy. It's not as simple as just marketing a meme coin, right? You got to have these small spaces. You got to share the vision, share the philosophy, and, you know, you need to really attack the, you know, the thought leaders and the quality entrepreneurs in the space who want to build. So really appreciate you guys for hanging in, and excited to hang out at NFT NYC and to follow you guys along. Proud NFT Now pass holder, and will continue to be so.
Yeah, shout out to all the Now pass holders here, you know, and Dogfather. Great, always great to see the support on the timeline. For those who may not, like, definitely encourage you to hop in our discord.gg/NFT Now. If you go to the NFT Now, you know, Twitter account, you'll see it. It's linked in the bio there. Love to, come through, check it out. It's a good vibe. It's a great community. And it's only growing, you know, now that we've launched the Now Network, and people are already earning XP points, and the leaderboard. I recently fell out of the top 30 of the leaderboard, which I'm a little salty about.
Oh, you can't fall out of the top 30 in your own leaderboard, bro. Come on, man.
Dog,
I was to
Me
be
too.
in the top 10.
I was number one
like
for all.
Aaron was number one forever.
I was always number one. Then it's just it's gone.
But
now.
hey, it's a great problem to have when you have so many active users that you just can't keep up.
Yeah,
sounds good, man. We will
guys, Now pass holders, get into Now Network. It's the alpha. Play around, hit the XP, get that. It's the alpha right now, you guys. So definitely, if you're a Now pass holder, hop into now.network. It's pinned up at the top, and come play around.
Yeah, because we're going to be dropping these we're calling them portals, and we're going to be giving it to like probably the top 100 or 150 people on the leaderboard. So access to create your own Twitter embeds and all that sort of stuff.
Wow, looks good. Yeah, I'm gonna log in. I just pulled it up right now, so I'm gonna go play around with it. Well, appreciate you guys, man. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and for everyone that's been listening, we'll be back tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. Make sure you follow everyone on stage, and enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. See you guys tomorrow.
Thank you. Take care.